Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Working in Hockey. I'm your host, Nick Bowins, and we have a special guest today, Brandon Barber. You know him as PAVEL Barber. For my money, the best hands on the internet. Barbs, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, buddy. How you been?
I am good. I am good. Excited to chat with you here, get into your journey a little bit. As you know, the purpose or the goal here is kind of define and outline how people started their careers in hockey, how they got into it, get some advice along the way. So I jotted down three things here that I think the next Pavel Barber should do if they want to be like you. You let me know if these are on track here. Stick handling 24 hours a day,
Minimum.
change your name to your favorite player's name, and then develop a shitty sense of humor online. That sound about right?
Yeah, 100%, man. Usually like three boxes check. I was hoping to keep those under wraps for a couple more years. Those are pretty big secrets to my success, but yeah, 100%.
The recipe for success these days, those three check boxes right there. But in all seriousness, I mean, I think anybody who's going to listen to this show knows who you are. They've seen your content. They've seen it grow over quite a few years now, and kind of the different things you've been able to do. So take me back to day one, a young Brandon stick handling away all these trick shots. How did you first kind of get into social media creation, your trick shots, your skills training, everything? Take me back to day one.
Yeah, I was playing field hockey for Team Canada in British Columbia and Vancouver there, and they did not pay very well towards the end of my career. And I needed a job to supplement that. And I was lucky enough to know a guy who worked at a hockey rink, and I was desperate to just work in hockey. Anything in hockey would have been awesome. And he got me a job just working with learn to skate kids, running some basic drill stuff, low level stuff, like kids just beginning to learn hockey. And then in between lessons, I would mess around and shoot some content with a goalie buddy of mine. Started off with creative shootout dangles, messed around with that. Instagram just introduced videos, so it was elite timing just to put those out on there. But it all started just doing learn to skate with kids, learn to play hockey with kids. I was refereeing. I was a god awful referee. Oh my
No
God.
doubt.
So bad. Even for kids, I was bad. Like I don't know I could make that many bad calls. But yeah, just anything on the ice there to do with hockey. I was kind of just around the rink and trying to sort out like where I wanted to go with my life, knowing I wanted it to be within the hockey space.
Yeah, absolutely. Was it something that you kind of stumbled into then? You say kind of filming those shootouts. Like, was that a conscious effort to be like, hey, I want to be on camera. I see video stuff popping on Instagram now, or was it, let me film this and just see what the hell happens?
Yeah. I wish it was a conscious effort because it would seem like I had some business savvy cells in my brain. But no, it was completely just for fun. Put on YouTube just to show people whatever. Every kid in their 20s wants to start a YouTube channel or whatever. Show people some videos they have fun making. And I didn't have an idea of growing a channel, growing a brand even like growing like a training business or whatever. There was no real plan in sight there. I just knew I loved doing it. It was a big passion of mine. I was trying to do something that hadn't been done before. And I was a big YouTube fan. I would watch all the guys who are doing stuff in the YouTube space. I saw a lot of parts that were missing, things I wish I would see, and I tried to fill that void with the things I just knew I loved doing.
Cool. Do you know, was there one viral video that really kind of sent you on your way, or what was that moment where you were like, you know what, we've got something here on the content side of things?
Yeah, I think I always remember my first viral one. I was shooting like a tribute to pawn hockey kind of video with a buddy, and we did this move where I flipped the puck on my stick and then kind of went over the head of the goalie with it still on my
Mm,
stick. And this is when Vine was a thing,
wow.
legendary platform, rest in peace. 6 second videos, and it went pretty viral there. And people were like sharing it. I forget how people share it, but tons of people were sharing it, and my name got out that way. And that was the first one where people started to get to know my name and started to build some traction to my name, and that's when I got to be known primarily for these ridiculous shootout moves you wouldn't do in a real game, but just mess around for fun and kind of like the slam dunk contest kind of thing, just mess around for the enjoyment of it.
Yeah, absolutely. People want to see the things that they don't think they can do or the things that they want to try, right? They love taking it to that next level. And I mean, dude, when I was a kid, like everybody was watching your videos, right? Everybody, whether they were a great hockey player or a brutal hockey player, everybody was watching your videos and wanted to emulate those trick shots, right? Kind of going forward from there, when did you kind of get full time into content, into making videos? What was that transition like? You mentioned the refereeing, working at rinks, everything. Like, what was that transition to? I'm a social media, hockey media guy full time now.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably only like full time, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago,
Hmm.
where that was like a full time thing. I was primarily doing the on ice training. So after I worked with the University of British Columbia for their hockey school as just
Sure.
an employee, eventually grew enough to the point where I wanted to expand and do stuff my way, train people the way I thought the was meant to be trained. I kind of yeah, I was like learning how to coach too, and just like learning how to reciprocate what I thought I knew in my head onto a kid and make them better. So I spent a lot of time doing that. So it was primarily just doing the on ice lessons then. And then social media was just a hobby for fun on the side. Wasn't putting much money in my pockets at the start, which, anyone getting involved in has got to know that it's not something you're going to make bank right away. It's very slow burn. It doesn't happen right away. So I love doing it. So I did it regardless. I'd still do it if I wasn't making money. I just enjoy making videos and whatever that is. But it really was only until like maybe 4 to 5 years into the process of it where it was substantial money, where I was able to do less traveling and less work on the ice and stuff like that, and prioritize more time for content creation. And now I'm at the point at the at my life where the social media side has taken over in terms of monetary value.
Sure.
So I make more doing that, but there's still quite a bit of time spent doing the traveling schools because I love the on ice training. It's tremendously valuable to me. It just brings a lot to my life and stuff like that. And yeah, I just enjoy doing it. But it's nice to not have to like break myself like traveling all
Yeah.
around the world at all times of the year. It's social media has really helped me have more time to do free time to do what I want to do.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of important key points that you mentioned there, but one that I want to dive into a little bit more with you. Like I said, you're obviously one of the biggest pages in hockey media right now. For somebody who's never created content before, hasn't really gotten brand deals, monetization on social media, without kind of diving into all your finances, like how do you monetize on social media? I think sometimes people think like, oh, they have 100,000 followers, they must get paid for having those. Like, no, there's brand deals, you monetize different ways. What does that look like for you? How are you making your money?
Yeah, it's all through brand deals, and that is really it. So a brand will come to you with a proposal. They'll say, "Oh, we want to do a TikTok, Instagram bundle." It'll be the same video posted across Instagram and TikTok. Like for example, I'm doing one with Tim Hortons coming up for their new hockey cards.
Cool.
And they'll basically say like, here's the points we want. Can you give us a creative for us to approve? And then you go and shoot the video. We approve it once again, or we have to make edits, and then we go to final posting. You agree on the money value of what you'll make beforehand from that, but that's how you make money on social media, at least for short form. So
Totally.
YouTube will pay you. It can be pretty good. Like I
Mhm.
make an okay amount, but I make far more through the brand deals for sure. And I specifically spend my time on TikTok and Instagram, those short form ones, which TikTok Canada pays you $0, Instagram pays you $0, but they give you the platform
Yeah.
to be able to make substantial amounts of money through brand deals. And the main thing you're always trying to focus on is engagement and building a community, and then making sure your advertisements kind of reflect the videos you've done in the past. So you're not like just like boring people and bombarding them with these ads they don't want to see. You keep it authentic, true to who you are, and just trying not to do too many too. You don't want every
Yeah.
other post to be an ad and whatever that is. And I'm slowly, yeah, I'm learning now like just how
Yeah.
to do that, but that's how you make money on social. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's ever evolving, right? Everything changes year over year, month over month, how people are digesting it, how people kind of want to see ads. But I do think the one thing to call out there that, again, a little bit of a misconception with social media is you just get paid for views, you get paid for followers. No, it's brand deals, they're agreed upon. And I think the thing that you do really well that I'll say some other hockey pages struggle to do is making it organic, right? Where you're not trying to say, hey, obviously your Caterpillar ones you've done recently, hey, buy this boot. It's, hey, let me integrate this boot into my content. We're going to integrate the jacket. We're going to make something funny. We're going to make something digestible and plan the content around that, right? It's not a cold sales pitch of, hey, buy Caterpillar or the Tim Hortons hockey cards. You have to integrate it into your content, make it fun and make it things that people want to see, right?
I'm 100%. I'm glad you used that example because that's maybe the best example I give to people when I think about the like generating content that is going to be digested by your audience. So like Caterpillar is not a hockey brand. They
No.
sponsor hockey events or whatever, but they're very far removed from like being well known in the hockey space because they do some apparel and then they build these big badass machines or whatever. But I was thinking like they basically wanted me to go on the ice and show off the clothes and get people excited about the clothes. And I'm thinking like no one's going to care about what I'm wearing. Like I'm not a fashion account,
Yeah.
right? That's not
No.
why people followed me. You always have to remember why did people follow you. So I threw that idea to them and they loved it. They were like, this is great because you're thinking like what's an immediate thing that can number one grab their attention
Yeah.
and then number two hold their attention long enough so that you are able to get your points across while still remaining entertaining. Like people wanted to see how well I'd even move on those things,
Yeah.
which was pretty hard.
Yeah.
I
No
used
doubt.
every muscle in my posterior chain to stay balanced, nearly broke my ankles, but it was worth it. And yeah, you always got to find those ways to make things entertaining and organic with what you naturally do. And I always think for myself, I call myself a bad actor because I just am. I don't act well. So I really have no choice but to be organic because
Yep.
it's people will know, they'll see it. It's way too forced. When I don't believe in something, you'll probably know.
Yeah, gotta be organic, otherwise people see right through it. When it comes to your content, your social media strategy, if you have strategy with what you're doing, are you thinking out ideas a couple weeks in advance? Okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is when I'm gonna edit it. This is my timeline. Do you have somebody helping with the edit? What is kind of the day-to-day of your social content?
Yeah, I think for the short form, I don't have too much in terms of like a posting schedule. For me, I try and post regularly, of course.
Sure.
Maybe that's twice a week. Sometimes that's once a week. It'll depend on the time too. I know March is like a slow week for hockey for some reason, so I don't post too much in the month of March. But yeah, I'm on a little bit of a post schedule where you try and hit one or two, but then it'll also depend on how much content do you really have? Like I don't want to force content if I'm trying to hit my target of 2 posts per week, but the content is lackluster. It's just not good. I'm not going to post it. I'm not
Yeah.
like there's no point in trying to hit a number if your quality falls off. It's always about quality because the more quality videos you consistently put out,
Yeah.
the more your brand is like people look at you and they're like, oh, it's a Pavel Barber video instead of oh, another Pavel Barber video, right? Like you always want to, keep the quality up with that. And then for YouTube, I think you gotta like be more consistent than I am for sure. Like I'm not posting once a week, but
Sure.
once a week is definitely a good thing to hit there for sure. And then sometimes with brand deals, they just have their post schedules for you. So
Yeah.
that's when you'll really have to hit those dates at the right time and whatever that is. So that's most of the planning will go towards the brand deals where I'm actually dating like, okay, on March 10th at 4 p.m. I gotta post this hockey card video or whatever.
Yeah.
And then for my stuff, I'm kind of choosing the best spots here and there to post whenever people are more engaged with the app.
Yeah, I think that's well said and super important that there's no one size fits all. There's no right answer for you have to do one post a day. No,
Yeah.
whatever
The
is quality, whatever you can get out there, like make your schedule and kind of do what you feel is right for you, your followers, and go from there.
Yes, I hate the TikTok videos that are telling people the one size fits all approach.
Yeah,
It's so annoying
yeah,
seeing them because if you watch 20, they're all telling you 20 different things
yeah,
and they're all making it a one size fits all. you have to know yourself and your brand better than anyone else. You can look into your analytics to see how things are going, when people are more engaged, or how much posting is too much. But you also got to ask yourself, how much do you want to post?
Yeah.
Because it is your page at the end of the day, and it's not just numbers related. Like, you don't want it to seem like a job where you're like forcing things or whatever. So I think there's like you just said there, it's not one week or like every week you got to post once a week or whatever. It'll change at all times. You're going to have great content some weeks, not so great the other. Like with Hockey Collective, there's going to be some sick dangles, maybe
Yeah.
5 in one day. And then some days there'll be 0 and
Yeah.
whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Some days you'll be heavy on posts, some you'll be light, but you just keep the quality up.
Exactly. No, quality over quantity, always on social media, regardless of what the TikTok gurus tell us. But yeah, I guess that's a good overview of kind of your social media content, everything there. I want to talk about the training a little bit more. I know you've said you've done more of it in the past than you are today. But I mean, you see the game really well. You're a skill guy, and it's not just stick handling, right? There's so much that goes into the game. I know you teach that. I know you preach that. Outside of kind of the trick shots, the skills that people see online. What is your training or coaching regimen? What are you helping kids with the most these days?
Yeah, I mean, people be surprised to know, like, because I market myself as a stick handling
Mhm.
specialist, people think all I care about is stick handling, or that I think stick handling is the most important part of the game, which couldn't be further from the truth. Like, easily the most important part of the game is skating and edge work. That's where you're going to
100%.
make the most strides. And with a lot of my camps, a lot of it is edge work related.
Mhm.
We'll lose the pucks for quite a bit to get the edge work down, because it's all from the ground up. If the feet aren't doing the right things, then the hands are worth nothing. So most of what I do is related to having the edge work to supplement the stick handling. If both can work in synchronization with each other, or work off of each other, I should say, then you've got some effectiveness there. Then you can clear space, and then you can do a really good job of dictating the pace on the ice and keeping your gaps and whatever that is. So much of what I do is related to multitasking, the getting
Yeah.
the feet and the hands to work together to do what they need to do. And that's I think when people come to my camp, sometimes they're surprised, and I don't blame them. That's why I made a PAVEL Barber training Instagram, to
Sure.
separate the boring stuff that's actually the most important
Yeah.
stuff, the trick stuff, which is highlight reel, but not important in games, of course. So I think when people come to my camp, sometimes they're a little bit surprised at how much of the fundamentals we do, the high
Yeah.
percentage skills we use all the time, directional changes, being able to stick handle with the puck loaded on your forehand, being able to hold a puck and protect it while scanning the ice, things like that. We're spending the majority of the time on.
Yeah, 100%. I think the one word to piggyback off of there that you said is supplement, right? The stick handling is complementary. It's supplementary to a lot of the core skills and the core functions. And I mean, we've been able to play together a number of times, both hockey, floorball. Like, your hands, impressive. Everybody knows stick handling specialist, makes sense, but it's the edge work. It's the body control. It's the fast twitch movements. It's where to position your body, right? Like, if I'm leaning this way versus this way, how does that change the angle? I think that's the stuff that impresses me when I watch you, and when I watch so many players in the game today, from Jack Hughes to Austin Matthews, the way that they kind of position, control their body. Their hands are amazing, yes, but it's everything else that they do that allows them to be set up to be successful, right?
Exactly. And like, so much of that is like, when you watch guys with good hands, it's easy for the hands to stand out.
Yeah,
That's the thing, because they're the most noticeable. But that's only because their edge work is so seamless.
yeah,
It's so buttery, it's so smooth. I mean, Jack Hughes is a fantastic example. He talks about, like,
yeah,
stick handles with his feet. He said in an interview, and I've never said it that way, but that's exactly how I kind of frame my whole teachings
hmm,
is, all of your hand movements are going to be dictated by your foot movements. So
true.
as you're taking stride, if the timing of the edge work matches up with the hands, then you're able to do so many more skills and be in so much more control of your body. If you have more options with the puck, then you're more deceptive, because the defender has to cover more
Yeah,
options. So as long as your skating allows you to stick handle in a way that provides you more options, with escape options as well, if you don't like the options ahead of you, then you see players like Barzell, Jack Hughes, McDavid. They take their time, they dictate the pace, they don't force plays when they don't exist. It's exciting to see, but it's not the most sexy part of hockey. So they don't get on highlight reels.
Yeah.
Maybe people don't think it's important. And the number one thing I tell people is do not go to Instagram to see what's important in hockey. You'll see me there. You'll see me doing a stupid move on a goalie that you'll never use. Instagram is a highlight reel driven machine. You do not go there to see what important moves are in the game. Those moves will not get shared because they're not flashy. You know, they're not for social media, but you watch full length hockey games, you count the number of times people do directional changes or whatever that is. You watch the small things, you'll find out what's important in hockey.
Yeah, only on PAVEL Barber training. That's the only spot you're getting the fundamentals, baby.
No.
But I mean, I could nerd out with this stuff all day with you, but I want to talk about how much the game has changed, how that's changed your training, and how you work with, train, coach kids today. I mean, you're an old man. You're in 1990, I
Oh
think,
yeah.
right? Like, game's changed a lot since you played, I played as kids. Like, how do you coach, work with the kids these days for the skill that's in the game today?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm lucky because I come in with like a fresh mindset of I see the skill
Yeah.
translating through the game. I always kind of have, but it was when I was playing, it was way less skill. Like a toe drag was an insane move when I played. Only
Yeah.
the elite did toe drags. Right now, it's a very obvious or not a very easy move for like an 8-year-old or whatever that is. But I think for me now, approaching the game, I see the things that allow the kids to create the most I guess gaps between them and their competition. Number one, as I've said, is skating and particularly like punch turns, being able to change direction while keeping that gap and picking up the feet quickly, getting inside of your crossovers and continuously crossing over and
Yep.
adding more speed as you're going or whatever. And then just the vision, being able to scan the ice, not only see the ice, but process information around you.
Mhm.
Are there defenders there? Do I have a numbers advantage here while doing the motor skills, the physical motor
Yeah.
skills? So, we challenge kids now, and I see it all the time where we'll teach them to like read something or like call out a number or we'll flash a light or whatever. And as they're thinking with their brain, they stop their feet, they stop their hands or whatever.
Sure.
And like the trick is to get them to be able to process and do more. And we always use McDavid as an example. If
Yeah.
you could measure his brain speed, I actually think you'd be more impressed with that than his foot speed. It's the speed at which he thinks the game and whatever. That really is it. And Jonathan Toews said this about Patrick Kane. He always said it's his mind. He's 2 steps ahead of people. He knows where the play's developing before it develops, and that is trainable. And I think that's the biggest thing I've grown to learn in hockey is just how teachable hockey IQ is.
Yeah.
And just how much of an influence you can have on a kid seeing the ice, right? Seeing, oh, if you're on a righty on the right side, that's your strong side. You have a set of moves that's more applicable on the strong side on a 2-on-1 with the puck ahead of you than you would behind you versus on the weak side. You would want the puck behind you on a 2-on-1 because you have that easy forehand pass option. So it's like making kids just aware to these things, and then you see it on the ice. If you allow that message to stick and you get it to stick early, you
Yeah.
see these kids pull off some pretty NHL level stuff, making it look kind of easy.
Yeah, no, not to compare humans to computers, but it's the processing speed, right? It's noticeable when you're doing something like that, and it's noticeable with Kane, McDavid, guys like that you said, right? It's the ability and speed at which they process things, scan the ice, react, create plays. That's what makes them different than us. Last kind of big question for you here, and it's the deepest one of the day. Your therapist is coming out here. In your eyes, in your mind, what has made you successful in your hockey, social media career, your training career, everything that you've done? What's made you successful or stand out with it?
I would say just knowing the right voices to listen to in terms of can I do it?
Hmm.
That's always a message I kind of try to relay. I do some speeches for my old high school and have to think of things to say. And that's always, I think, the first thing that comes to mind because, at the end of the day, there's so many people with opinions of you, especially online. But you have to think about like, the fact that these people don't know who you are. They don't know, number one, your struggles, what you've been through, how much work you're willing to put in, what you've already done
Hmm.
yourself, how far you've come, whatever. So people try and always tell you your potential or what you're capable of or whatever, and they know like 0.00001% of who you are,
Yeah.
right? They watch a clip and they talk about your potential like they've been there your whole life. You have to know you're the only one who's been there your whole life. You're the only one who's known that. It's hard to be your biggest fan. And I'm not the best guy to say this because my self-talk isn't the greatest. I get on myself pretty well. I know it should be better. But at the end of the day, I'm good at reminding myself, like, hey, like, this is where you started. This is how far you've come. No, you're not perfect. No, you're flawed. And there's always room for improvement. But remember how far you've come, and
Yeah,
remember these people who are telling you can't do it don't know shit. They
yeah,
they just don't know who you are, and it's just so illogical to give them any mind space to take up because they logically don't know who you are, what you're capable of, how far you've gone, all that stuff we mentioned. So you might have five or less people who really know a large part of you, and those will be your biggest supporters, obviously, because they've seen you through the good bad times. They're able to tell you tough news like, oh, this isn't a good side of you or whatever. Those are your good friends or whatever. But I would say limit the amount of people that get in your head and tell you what you're capable of for sure.
totally. Nope, there's only one brain in this head for a reason. Listen to it, not others. Going to transition to a little bit of rapid fire here to wrap us up. Couple quick questions about your journey and experiences so far. Okay.
Love it. Let's do it.
All right. Favorite venue you've been able to go to working in hockey?
Working in hockey?
Yeah. So, Winter Classics, All-Star games, cool arena
Oh,
you've gone to. What's your favorite venue?
I mean, I did a Molson Canadian commercial on a mountain rink only accessible by helicopter. So
Yep.
that one or the skyscraper rink in Toronto, they
Yes.
built a rink on a skyscraper. The one of those two was just
It's a
because
good
it
one.
was on, yeah, just you're never going to do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Coolest person you've been able to meet through your career here.
Ooh, coolest person. I met Pavel Datsuk. Yeah,
Did you?
you'd be a close second. I met Pavel Datsuk. He was like he's so Russian. He was like the Russian smile. He was just like this the whole time. But I'm such a big fan. It was just like meeting him and whatever, giving him a fist bump, getting a picture with him. He's my idol. So yeah, meeting
Yeah.
him was wicked.
Amen. Amen. I have a signed Datsuka Winter Classic jersey above my bed, and that might be my prized possession in life. I'm with you
Nice.
there.
That's what he
Um,
signed actually, is my Winter Classic
yeah.
jersey.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at that. Look at that. Favorite move you've ever pulled off on the ice?
The Datsuk move,
Yeah.
for sure. First time ever was in provincials when I was playing, and I looked like an idiot doing it. I fell into the boards. I did score though, and but back then it was an insane move. Now it's not, but no one was doing it back then, and that was just through watching Datsuk, so that was pretty cool.
If you didn't score that, you were getting your ass sat on the bench. That's for sure.
100%. That's how it goes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. How many hours a week would you say you're on the ice or have a stick of some sort in your hand?
Oh God. I mean, in the winter time, I'm on the outdoor rinks at least 2, 3 hours almost every day, except for weekends because it gets busy then. So yeah, that'd be like 10 to 14 hours just me training or shooting videos, and then like with clients around 3 to 4 times a week, a couple times a day.
Hmm.
So
Cool.
yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Definitely quite a
Quite
bit
a
on it.
bit. Quite a bit. Best player you've ever trained? Anybody make it big time from the Pavel Barber School of Trainings?
I mean, I've worked with some NHL players on the ice. Like I've been on the ice with Jonathan Taves. He was a joy to work with. He was fun to just, obviously he's already good. You're not taking credit for any of his a skill or whatever, but it was cool to see him. And then there's a kid who he plays in the WHL, Jordan Gavin. He was actually my first ever Pavel
Hmm.
Barber client, if you will. So he was from 8 years old, cute little shy kid, and now he's this grown man who could probably bench press me. But see, I think that's the coolest one because you've just seen him from a young age. He's a great kid, works hard. He's got a good heart, and he just he's a good guy. So I think that's the coolest one. Just seeing him grow and have some success and just keep enjoying hockey is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Two more here. Favorite social media platform to post, watch, interact on?
Oh, Instagram for
Yep.
sure.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, TikTok sucks. I do not like TikTok. I like using it sometimes, but the disparity in views and stuff is just so all over the map. Instagram, you get the consistency, you build a community. TikTok, it's not really building much of a community just because of the For You page existence. I think it lacks that.
Yeah. Last one here. Shout out somebody who's helped you the most kind of in your career, in your journey. Give some love to somebody.
I'll say Simon Lewis, one of my coaches. I had him for 8 years. Obviously, my dad, he's a big one. Can't leave him under the radar. He helped me immensely. But yeah, my coach, he was always a guy who never put pressure on you. He kept my love for the game high. And I think that's really the only thing I want to say about that. He wasn't teaching us crazy skills or nothing. He was a great coach, but we loved it. We loved him as a coach, and I love those 8 years playing for him, and I think that's the reason I'm so passionate about hockey. That's the reason I still love stepping out on the ice and having that influence on kids is because of a guy like that. So if I could do that for other kids, for sure, he's a guy I think about.
Well said. Well said. Dude, can't thank you enough for coming on here. I've gotten to know you a little bit the last couple of years, and I think the hard work is evident. The time, the care that you put into to meeting with people, taking pictures with the kids, training them, that's super cool and respectable. And I think the biggest thing is that you do it all with a smile on your face. It's clear that you love what you do. I think that's the biggest takeaway from any time I hear you talk. So keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for sharing your story here, and pleasure chatting as always.
Awesome, buddy. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is great.
All right, guys, check them out. You know where to find them. PAVEL Barber. Stay tuned for next week's episode.